It's Pyre King, and I'm really excited to bring to you another guide to Legends of Barovia. We're going to be covering the Spires of Ravenloft, including the Heart of Sorrow and all the tweaks that we made to the epic Fae quest, which is a big part of the Legends of Barovia. Now, before I get started, a huge shout out to all of my supporters, including the legendary members. We migrated from Patreon to Ko-fi in January with a brand new website. Really excited about that. Big help from our legendary members. Now, our supporters, including the legend members, receive additional content, including tokens, theater of the mind maps, voice acting sound files, and I take all the stuff in the free PDF guides and the free maps, and I put them into a Foundry Adventure module with even links back to D&D Beyond for you, so you can enjoy this. This is a special treat that I could give to our supporters, making all this content available to the entire community. If you're interested in becoming a supporter or legendary member, there's links in the description down below. Now, a couple other special acknowledgments. First of all, is my partner in this epic journey, DM Andy. We're going to be looking at some gorgeous battle maps by DM Andy. Of course, these are the WebP versions that he's allowed us to use in our Foundry Adventure modules. There's some public versions available as well for free. However, if you're interested in those high-resolution 8K versions, ones with weather effects, night and day, all of those are available in his champion tier packs on his Patreon page. There's a link in the description down below. Highly recommend those. Also, a huge shout-out to Blair, Foundry developer. He's made the Scene Packer module. He also provides Foundry support. Everything you see in Foundry for these adventures happen because of Blair. Now, if you're interested in making your own Foundry adventures or your own modules, reach out to Blair. There's a link to his Patreon page down below. Huge help. Both Blair and DM Andy are on our Discord channel. We have a great Discord community, so come over and join us, even if you're not a member, and share your stories here in Barovia with us. So let's jump into this. I'm really excited about jumping into this map. We've got several spires that we're going to be covering here. We got level 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. We have 3 theater of the mind maps as well. We're also going to be covering how we deal with the Heart of Sorrow, which we've made some changes to in Legends of Barovia. Now, we see here in the north, this is the tower heading north. The north tower heading up towards the Heart of Sorrow, and you can see these red arrows. We've added in Foundry Monk's active tile triggers, so the characters can just step onto the arrows, automatically teleports them and changes scenes so they can move throughout the castle without you as the DM and Foundry having to do anything. And you can see this is slightly glowing because that giant Heart of Sorrow is about 190 feet up in this tower, in the northern tower. But we're going to start our adventure in the spires here in the southern spire here. And the first part we have is the portrait Strahd, that's K47. And we notice here is there's a hatch here. This hatch is the top hatch of the elevator trap. We're going to be making a special video for the elevator trap and guide for that separately. But this is the top of that right here. And you can see if you go up this set of stairs, you're going to go higher in this spire, or if you go down, this is going to go lower in the spire. And these arrows, again, are just there to mark where Monk's active tile triggers are to teleport your characters to the different levels. So let's cover this area right here, K47. Now, there is a portrait of Strahd here. There's the portrait of Strahd, and we made a change to this. And I look at the portrait of Strahd as like a home security camera for Strahd. And if the players have a passive perception of 15 or an active perception check DC 12, they'll notice that the eyes follow the players. And any character that goes through this K47 area, up the stairs, down the stairs, through the trapdoor, or into the lounge, Strahd will be immediately notified of that. And so that's a home alarm system. And it's interesting why it's at this location, because on this floor of the spire, not only do we have the lounge, but we're going to be visiting the guest bedroom. And if the players would happen to be a guest staying in Ravenloft, they would be staying in this bedroom. So this portrait is a great way of Strahd keeping track if anybody's staying in the guest bedroom, if they're leaving, coming or going, whatever. The eyes in the portrait move. Now, in addition here, we have the rug of Smothering. And I borrowed an idea from Lunch Break Heroes. In fact, I just interviewed Lunch Break Heroes. If you want to watch that video, I'll put a link in the description down below. And I liked his idea of the Rug of Smothering here because the players are pretty high level, and this is kind of a nuisance, if you will. And so instead, the Rug of Smothering is going to attempt to grapple one party member and toss them down the stairs. And the mechanic that we use here is pretty simple. The player's going to have to succeed a DC 10 dexterity save, or if they fail, they're going to fall down 1d4 flights of stairs, and each flight is 10 feet. So if they fail that DC save, dexterity save, they're going to fall down either 10, 20, 30, or 40 feet of stairs. For every 10 feet of stairs they fall, they're going to suffer 1d4 bludgeoning damage. So this is the way to kind of separate the party, send one of the players down the stairs, maybe some bludgeoning damage, and so that's how we've incorporated the Rug of Smothering here. Now let's jump into this lounge area here where we meet Escher. And the lounge area, when the players enter the lounge area, we have some descriptive text here. They're going to notice that the room was once probably opulent. There's some plush, cushy chairs here, some nice leaded glass windows, some bookcases, but everything looks like it's worn. The fabric is kind of worn and the patterns have faded. And lounging here is a handsome young man. And let's take a look at this handsome young man here. This is Escher here. We'll get a close-up shot of him here. There he is. I'll leave it to you as an Easter egg who this is. This is actually an actor this is modeled off of. So that's an Easter egg for you. If you can figure out who that is, leave your comments in the description down below. Now, we made some changes to Escher, and if you remember, when the party was in the coffin maker shop in Vallaki, they ran into vampire spawn, and those vampire spawn were previous adventures that failed in destroying Strahd, and they were turned into vampire spawns. Well, Escher is a member of that adventuring party. And he's going to be sitting on the couch kind of in a carefree manner, and he's kind of unamused when the characters walk in. He kind of raises an eyebrow. Why are you disturbing me in here? And he's not going to be in any aggressive manner at all. He's going to be taking his time. He's enjoying a book of poetry that he's reading. Now, if the players engage and speak with him, they're going to realize that he's dressed in fairly fancy clothes, but his clothes are kind of threadbare. And he was the bard of that adventuring party. Now, if the players have put it together, and he will share, he goes, oh, it looks like some more adventurers are going to try to defeat Strahd. Good luck with that. You might end up with the same fate as me, becoming a vampire spawn, and my fellow vampire adventurers are now out there doing Strahd's bidding. Now, if the players make that connection, that hey, they ran into vampire spawns that were adventurers that they defeated, or maybe some of them got away, they can share that with Escher. Now, this is the interesting role-playing moment of Escher. Escher will not be upset if the players killed his fellow adventurers who were vampires, because Escher, as well as those vampire adventurers, just wish to escape Barovia just like the players. However, they're immortal vampires now, and even if you destroy Escher as an immortal vampire, his soul is permanently trapped in Barovia. And all Escher wishes to do, as well as the other adventurers, including the party, and creates this empathetic bond, is they just wish to leave Barovia. They are trapped there forever, whether it's a revenant, whether it's their soul, whether they're a vampire. He knows. He goes, you've destroyed my party. Maybe there'll be a soul in the ether and be reborn into something that's not so heinous or horrible. We just wish we could leave Barovia. Now, this is an interesting role-playing moment there, and so he'll share this information freely with the party. He will not attack or be aggressive with the party unless the party is aggressive with him. Now, if the party happens to be friendly with, or if they happen to have the fated ally, which is Lamilla. Now, in Legends of Barovia, Lamilla, who's a 200-year-old vampire, previously a bride of Strahd, wishes to take over Barovia and become a queen. And she has taken up residence in a secret lair, which she has commandeered the Tower in Salinka Pass. And it is possible in Legends of Barovia that the players have Lamilla as their fated ally. And that's a really crazy opportunity for role-playing, because the enemy of my enemy is my friend. Lamilla just wants to become the queen of Barovia. She wants to defeat Strahd, and she's plotting that going on in the Selinka Tower, which is her new lair. So if the players happen to be friendly with her or know of her plans or know anything about Lamilla and share that with Escher, Escher will share with the party that he is a spy for Lamilla and that she promised him his freedom from Barovia if he helps Lamilla defeat Strahd. Now, if the party shares this information, he realizes this, he will begin to share information about Castle Ravenloft. He knows pretty much everything about the castle, even some of the formidable creatures that they may run into, that is the main floor and in the spires. He does not know about the treasure room or its location. I believe that's K42. So anything about the treasure lair, he does not know. But anything else in the castle, main floor and higher, he knows. Now, about the catacombs and the dungeons and the crypts down below, he doesn't know. He can only offer conjecture. And perhaps it's because that is where Escher and his fellow adventurers were killed. They probably were killed and subdued and turned into vampires by Strahd down there in the catacombs. And it's a haunting memory of him. He does not go down there. He doesn't like going down there. And so anything he can remember from down there is from decades ago. And it just haunts him. It's a place that he doesn't want to go. And the reason he hangs out in this lounge, it's where he has to abide in the castle that's furthest away from everything. It's a lounge. He can enjoy a book of poetry and forget about this horrid, gothic, horrid, dark life that he has been destined to for eternity. So that's Escher there. Now, here's the interesting element. There's a chance that Strahd is scrying on Escher at the moment the party is engaging with him. And you can make this percentage whatever you want. I suggested 25%. You can roll a 1d4. And on a 1, Strahd has successfully scryed on Escher, so he knows the entire conversation. Now, if Escher just shares, hey, I was an adventurer and I died in Barovia, my fellow adventurers died in Barovia and doing Strahd's bidding, etc., Strahd won't mind. However, if Escher shares anything, or if the party shares anything and Escher reveals that he's a spy for Lamilla and Lamilla plans to overthrow and he starts sharing information about the castle, Strahd will be furious. And Strahd will, at that point, send in 1d4 plus 1, 2 to 5 gargoyles, who will have the players roll initiative, and in that beginning round, they will break through the window and engage in combat, gargoyles with the party there in Escher's room. Escher will do everything he can to escape and try to find Lamilla at this point. It is a possibility at this point that Escher finds Lamilla and tells him that the party that maybe Lamilla has allied with has been under attack, and Strahd has realized that Lamilla is going to try to attack Strahd, and this might give her the opportunity, that moment where she comes and all chaos ensues throughout Ravenloft. Escher arrives back with Lamilla. She starts fighting Strahd. Maybe gives the opportunity for the party to get involved. I mean, this really opens up some fun, exciting opportunities here. So that is Escher's situation in here. If we go into the guest bedroom here, nothing too interesting about the guest bedroom. You can describe it. It's kind of a small area. It's covered in some dusty cobwebs. It's kind of threadbare. There's a couple of chaise lounges there. If the party were to be abducted or put to sleep or given a normal night's stay in Ravenloft for whatever reason, this is where they would stay, and most likely they would wake up not knowing how they got here. That maybe if Strahd or somebody else put them to sleep, or they were caught in some kind of gas trap or something, they would wake up here in this bedroom, and then they would have that Escher encounter leaving this bedroom, and he could say, oh, well, you obviously were abducted or whatever. Now, there is a trap door here in the closet next to K50 in here that goes up to the next floor. Nothing too interesting there. We did some changes to the witches, which I will talk about here on level 2. So let's go to Spire Level 2. And again, if we look at the North Tower, we're still climbing up in the North Tower up to that floating heart of sorrow. And if we look at the South Tower, we get into the Familiar Room. And I made a little bit of changes to the Familiar Room. The room is clearly in disarray here. I mean, you can see, DM Andy's details to these maps are amazing. He's put claw marks in here, and you can tell something's in here, and the players are going to spy these eyes of these cats. And there are 3 cats, and you can see the cats. I got the cats' tokens in here. There's 3 cats in here, and let's take a look at their tokens really quick. So you can take a look at these beautiful black cats. By the way, my first cat that I had, he lived to be 17 years old. He was black. His name was Nemo. He was a black cat. There he is. There's one of the black cats. And these are the witch's familiars. So they're in there, and they will be friendly with the players unless one of two things happen. If the players happen to be not friendly with the cats, or if they happen to try to go through this door to the south right here, the cats will morph into these beasts. Let's take a look at the beasts. There's the beast. And I'm using the hyena stat block. You can call them whatever you want to. Nasty cats, beast cats, whatever. This is a image of what it transforms into. And this transforms into one of these beast cats and will immediately begin attacking the party. Now, they're not super damaging at this point. I mean, they have a bite attack, they have pack tactics. They have very low hit points in here, but they are going to attack the party if the party tries to go through this door or if the party does something bad to the cats. So the cats are transforming back and forth into these kind of beast cats and not. And that's kind of why this room is turned into such disarray. When they're in their little, lovely little cat form, they're really nice. And then when they transfer into their beast form, well, they get a little nasty. So let's talk about the elemental room. That's the next room we have right here. And we made a little change to this, and I wanted to make this fun. We actually have our first Theater of the Mind map, which I'll bring up at this point right now. Here's our Theater of the Mind map for the elemental room, and let's talk about this. So when the players get in here, it's kind of covered in cobwebs and a little dusty, but it looks like it's an alchemist room, and it looks like it's used. And there are several bottles laying about. In fact, several of them have readable labels on them. So you got Eye of Newt, Hair of the Bat, Snail's Heart, Frog's Breath, Wolf Tongue, and Berez Swamp Water. So there's 6 vials of ingredients that the players can ascertain and know what's in them. Now, the characters at this point, you can have the character roll when the characters look at it. I would suggest prompting the characters, as you're looking at it, need you to roll a Arcana check, the players that's investigating the bottles in the room. If they succeed a DC 10 Arcana check, you're going to tell the players the following. Well, you recognize that 6 of the ingredients, and there's enough of each of the ingredients to make from each ingredient 1 potion, by either mixing 2 ingredients together to make a total of 3 potions, or 3 ingredients together to make a total of 2 potions. If you mix more than 3 ingredients together, it can only create poison. Now, you know that the ingredients here can create, 2 of the ingredients mixed together can create 1 of 3 potions. A potion of fire resistance, a potion of healing, or a potion of heroism. And if you mix 3 ingredients together, you can either create a potion of superior healing or a potion of speed. You're enough to make 3 ingredients potions, or enough to make 3 of the 2 ingredient potions. How does this work? So you describe this to the player. Now, the player has to describe which ingredients they're going to be mixing. However, this is a secret, whatever they mix together is not important. This is a moment for the players to kind of get into that role-playing element. Oh, maybe if I mix the Frog's Breath with a Wolf Tongue, that will make the potion of healing or something. Let the players have some fun role-playing this. This is not the important element. What's going to happen is like, okay, you're going to mix these 2 potions together. You're going to have to roll an Arcana check to see if you're successful, if you mix the right ingredients. Now, if they roll a DC 14 Arcana check for 2 of the ingredients, they will make one of the following: the potion of fire resistance, the potion of healing, or the potion of heroism. And you can do this how you want. If the player is intending to make the potion of healing and they've mixed these 2 ingredients and they succeed on a DC 14 or higher, then they make that potion of healing. And then the next one they could try to make the potion of fire resistance, or you can just have it be random. It's really up to you how do you want to run it. What you're not going to ever do is you're never going to reveal the DC. Here's why. Well, let me cover the 3 potions. If they mix 3 ingredients together, that's a DC 16 Arcana check, and it's either going to be a potion of superior healing or a potion of speed, if they succeed that. Now, here's the secret why you don't want to reveal the DC check. If they fail the DC with 10 or greater, so if they're doing the 2 mixtures for a DC 14, if they get a 10, 11, 12, 13, etc., the potion is just inert. They've just wasted the ingredients. It does nothing. If they roll a 2 through 9, the potion is a potion of poison, and the player does not know what it is. Now, if you're not familiar with a potion of poison, let me see if we get there. Potion of poison. There we go. It's a concoction that looks and smells and tastes like a potion of healing or other beneficial potion. They won't know what it is. It masks the illusion of magic, and Identify spell will reveal the true nature. So they go, oh, the concoction looks and smells and tastes like a potion of healing or some other kind of beneficial potion. It is a potion of poison. So again, if the player at this point, it's either going to be, if they fail, it's either going to be inert, does nothing, or it's going to be a potion of poison. Now, if the player rolls a natural 1 on that Arcana check, the potion explodes, causing 3d8 acid damage to all creatures within a 20-foot radius. Creatures must succeed a DC 15 dexterity check. If they succeed, they'll take half the damage. The explosions will alert the witches in the Cauldron Room, who will become invisible. So this adds kind of some fun element for the players to potentially make some potions that'll benefit them, especially some healing potions as they're traveling through Ravenloft, or fire resistance, which will be important in Ravenloft, or heroism, or speed. So really cool. If you want to change up those potions to something else, feel free to do so. All right. I keep on moving this here. Okay, let's go into the Cauldron Room. And let's go back here. We are in level 2. The Cauldron Room. And we have actually, here it is, here on the map. You can see the witches are in here invisible. Got a little light here. Again, DM Andy's level and attention to detail is just phenomenal. But we have a Theater of the Mind map for this as well. I'll just bring that up. And here we are in the Cauldron Room. Now, the Cauldron is interesting. So we have these witches here, which kind of seems out of place, but they're not. So if they enter in, if the party managed to bypass the cats without notice, maybe they came up through the trap door, they didn't blow up anything in the elemental room, and they carefully open the door, they're going to see the 7 Barovia witches in here. And here they are right here. I'll make them visible. And they're in there concocting a potion. And they'll be startled at that point. They're preparing something, the players are startled. Otherwise, they'll be invisible in this room. If the witches are invisible, they're going to wait till either the entire party comes in, or if some of the party comes in, they're going to shut and lock the door. That'll be a DC 16 dexterity check with lockpicking tools, or DC 18 to break it down, to separate the party and begin a combat encounter in here. Now, if the witches are captured for any reasons, they're going to trade informations, and they just want to be freed. They realize that the party's going to be probably overpowered against the witches, and they wish to be free. The witches are going to share why they're there. The witches were once allies. They're from the swamp. They were once allies with Baba Lysaga. However, Strahd has approached them, and they've pledged their fealty to Strahd in exchange for Arcana power, and Strahd's employed them for one purpose only: to learn everything they can about Baba Lysaga and plan to destroy her. So the witches have spent their time spying on Baba Lysaga and the swamp and crafting a plan to destroy her. And here's the plan. They plan to use a spell using the potion that they are currently concocting in the cauldron to pour in the surrounding waters around the Bullywog village in the swamp. And the Bullywogs within that village, in 1d6 days after they pour the concoction in the water, will fall under the command of the witches, and the witches will command the Bullywog to attack and kill Baba Lysaga. That is their plan. So they are brewing this potion in this concoction and this potion in this cauldron to pour into the waters of the swamp to convert the Bullywog to attack, kind of like a charm spell, to fall under command of the witches to attack Baba Lysaga. So they will share that with the players openly. Now, there's something else about the witches that are interesting that ties back in to the night hags at the Bone Grinder. The witches are allies and friends with the night hags. And so if the players have run off the night hags, if they fought the night hags, if any of them survived and went off to the ethereal plane or whatever, the witches, if they're in combat, they will call upon any of the remaining alive night hags, it could be one or all three, to take vengeance upon the party. And so the night hags will arrive in the third round of combat if any of those night hags are alive. So this ties in these witches here, not only to the entire storyline of the Fae Quest, Baba Lysaga, and the Bullywogs, why they're here. Strahd's employed them to spy on and learn everything they can about Baba Lysaga and to concoct a plan. They've got this plan, and it ties in to those night hags as well, who could come back. This would be a great time to bring those night hags back, who probably may have escaped during an attack with the party. So, you know, a moment of revenge, and it's great in a long campaign like that to bring those NPCs or those characters from a previous scene or earlier on their back. So it kind of ties this entire campaign together. All the night hags are coming back to seek vengeance upon us, and the witches are here to try to find out and destroy the Bullywog. And the players might have already been with the Bullywog or everything, and then they've realized this plan that Strahd has hired these witches to do. So it kind of weaves all of this in together, which I really like. The more you give purpose and reason and why things are happening, the more it helps emerge the players and makes the story come alive as the players are engaging with the world around them. Now, we get up onto level 3 here, and we got a couple of things here. We've got the tower here on the rooftop of the tower to the south. That's the rooftop tower here. We have description of that. And then we've got the narrow bridge to go across, which I really like the narrow bridge a lot. It creates a great cinematic element, especially for a combat encounter here, whether it's with Strahd or with bats or some other creature or a vampire spawn. And it's at the same level as where the Heart of Sorrow is here. So a lot of stuff can happen within the Heart of Sorrow. We're going to be covering that, as well as transferring, going across this bridge here. It offers a lot. And I've included a Theater of the Mind map for the bridge here. So we've got this Theater of the Mind map. We got this bridge. So if you want to have the players on the bridge and you want to do it Theater of the Mind, we've got a great Theater of the Mind map here going off here as well. Now, I'm going to come back to the Heart of Sorrow at the end of the video because I want to cover the 2 other locations before we do the Heart of Sorrows where some things are going on. Now, in the top of the northern, in Spire Level 4, is the top of the northern tower here. And we've got that room in here, which is got this bed with the shackles on the wall in here. It's a very dark and disturbing room. You've got shackles on the wall. There's some straps on the bed. And what's really going on here is Strahd at one time used this room to restrain victims, perhaps even those who possessed the soul of Tatiana. Maybe he didn't want to. Remember, part of Strahd's position is he could easily charm Irina or anybody with Tatiana's soul, but that's just cheating himself out of unrequited love. He wants this person to love them. He doesn't want to force them or charm them into loving them or convert them into loving him. So I imagine earlier on, while he was a vampire, and he's finding these souls, these vessels, Tatiana, he's bringing them here and trying to win them over to loving him and trying to give them everything he wants. And when they turn against him, he takes them up here and straps them down and says, I'll release you, once you realize that I'm the best thing for you and we can live in a beautiful immortal life together. And maybe he's even bitten a couple of them even there. Maybe even Patrina, the Dusk Elf, when he tried to convert her, was here. Who knows? There's probably some really sad, tragic tales that have happened in this room. Strahd no longer uses this room anymore. Obviously, he probably used it at one time, but he realizes those methods were unsound and they didn't work, and so he's gone on to other ways. So the rooms remain empty. There's some dust and cobwebs here. There is a chest here with a DC 20 lockpicking in there that contains a crown worth 250 gold pieces, and this was commissioned by Strahd centuries ago for Tatiana. Cyrus Bellevue has hidden the chest here for safekeeping, realizing nobody uses this anymore up here. If you do attempt to smash a chest because you failed the DC lockpicking, you have a 50% probability of damaging the crown that's inside. So that's the northern tower peak here. Now let's go to the top of the spire, and that's where we're going to run into Piddlewick, and that is in the Spire Level 5, and that's where Piddlewick is here. So let's check this out. Let's show little Piddlewick here. There we go. Here's Piddlewick. In fact, let's just take a look at what Piddlewick looks like. I got Piddlewick 2 in here. Where he is? There he is. There's Piddlewick 2. There's Piddlewick. Little creature. He's, I don't know, he's just an odd little guy, isn't he? So anyway, Piddlewick is up here, and I leave Piddlewick pretty much rules as written except for a couple of things. Instead of pushing them down the shaft to their death, I'm using the same mechanic we talked to earlier, and Piddlewick will push a player down the stairs, try to make a dexterity save DC 10, or suffer 1d4 flights of stairs, which would be 10 feet for each flight, and suffer 1d4 bludgeoning damage for each of those 10 feet. In addition, Piddlewick, if the players run into any creatures or monsters or any combat encounters, he will run away and escape and come back to this tower peak. This is the only place where Piddlewick feels safe. So if he does travel with the party, they run into any combat encounters, he's gone. He's going to run back off and hide in this tower. So that's Piddlewick in the top of the spire here. Now let's jump into the Heart of Sorrow and talk about this combat encounter here. So we've got a special thing for the Heart of Sorrow, which is comes about because of the Fae quest. So let's talk a little bit about what this Heart of Sorrow is in the fabric of Legends of Barovia. If the players have learned through picking up books and lore, running into the Faes, learning about the history of Barovia, that the Heart of Sorrow was created by the Faes for Prince Strahd. They felt sorry for him. He lost his mother, he lost his father, his brother was dead, murdered. They don't know that he murdered him. And then his love, Tatiana, dies. And so they believe that the mist, initially they believe, the darkness that came to land was Strahd's broken heart, the darkness coming from Strahd. And so they crafted this Heart of Sorrow to heal or give him health. And so it gives him 50 hit points. It also serves as Strahd's phylactery. In rules as written, and when Strahd dies, if you read the conclusion, Strahd is reborn again and comes back. Even if the players defeat him, he comes back. But if you want to permanently destroy Strahd, and he comes back because he has this Heart of Sorrow here, helps Strahd come back. You can see it's pumping and here, and it's floating here in the middle of this giant tower, 190 feet or so. The heart in Legends of Barovia of Sorrow cannot be destroyed by any magical or physical means in the player's possession or anything that they have. It can only be destroyed using the Broken Heart, which is a gem that's gifted to the party by the Fae once all three Fae have been restored. They take their three gems together, they bond it into one powerful gem called the Broken Heart, and they instruct the players that they must bind this Broken Heart, this Fae gem, with the Heart of Sorrow to destroy it. And only when the Heart of Sorrow is destroyed can the players defeat Strahd. Now, the players can defeat Strahd if the Heart of Sorrow is not destroyed, but then he'll resurrect because it's a phylactery. So if they want to defeat Strahd permanently, so he'll never resurrect, they have to destroy the Heart of Sorrow. And the only way to destroy it is with the Broken Heart, restoring the Fae, and the Fae gifting him this very, very powerful item that will bind with the heart. So how does this work? Well, the player, you're going to roll initiative at this point, and the Heart of Sorrow is going to be rolling initiative as well. The process takes 10 rounds, right? 10 rounds with the player. One player must be holding the Broken Heart gem that's been gifted to them. They must be 20 feet, no more than 20 feet away. So they've got to be standing on these stairs or this the circle around the heart. And when they pull out the gem, an energy being between the Heart of Sorrow and the gem that they're holding that was gifted to them by the Fae begins the binding process between the gem and the Heart of Sorrow. The character must hold it with at least one hand. Now the character can attack, make any other action, but they can't move away more than 20 feet away, and they got to continue to hold the heart. So as long as they're holding the heart within 20 feet, they're okay. They can use an attack action or any action they can move, and this beam connecting, binding the Heart of Sorrow and the Broken Heart gem are going to be connected at this point. Now, the character attempting the process, the binding is a bonus action. by the way. So it's an automatic binding, it's a bonus action during that player's turn. Remember, it's going to take 10 turns of binding for it to bind together, and I'll tell you what happens once it's done. The character must hold that broken heart at least in one hand. The character may attack or take another action, but can't move 20 feet away of the Heart of Sorrow and holding it, otherwise they break the link. The link breaks under these conditions. If the Heart of Sorrow succeeds in blasting the character with energy, I'll talk about how that works in a second. The character is moved or moves away more than 20 feet away from the heart, the link breaks. The character suffers a critical hit. So if the character is hit with damage, it doesn't break the link, but if he's hit with a critical hit, it will break the link. If the character drops the broken heart gem, or if the gem is taken from him, it breaks the link. If the character is unconscious or making death saves or is dead, the link is broken. So the character has to hold this gem in order for this link to be made. Now here's how the encounter goes down. As soon as the character begins making this link, you have 7 animated halberds, you can see them right here, will come flying off the walls and begin attacking all the party members on this level. They won't move in up or down levels, they will just attack on this level. 3 of these will go immediately after who's ever holding that gem. And remember, that player can defend themselves as long as he's holding the gem with one hand, and he can fight off these halberds as well. The heart also is in the initiative count. On the heart's turn, the heart can take one of 2 actions. They can take the action rules as written as the players have climbed the tower. The player, you already know this, is the tower shudders. So this is the shuddering action that the heart takes. If the heart takes the shudder action, any creature on the stairs or hanging out of the tower, that means on these stairs here, okay, not on this platform, but on the stairs or any stairs in that tower, or climbing, hanging out of the walls, climbing on the outside or inside, must make a DC 10 dexterity save, or they're going to fall down to the base of the tower, either outside or inside. The character that's attempting the binding, however, on a failed save, will fall to one knee as a reaction. The binding connection is strong, keeping the character from falling down the tower. So the binding is acting kind of like a magnetic pull, right? As long as the character's holding on to it, he'll fall down to one knee, right? But he's not going to fall down the tower. So the shudder itself can't break the link, but a shudder is a great action for the heart to deal with the other members of the party. The heart can also attempt to break the binding directly. This is the other action, the alternative action the heart can take. And by breaking the heart directly, it blasts the character with energy that's holding the broken heart, that's created this link, trying to bind the broken heart with the Heart of Sorrow. And the character must succeed a DC 10 Constitution save, or they're going to be knocked prone and suffer 1d10 force damage, severing the link. If the link is broken this way, that round does not count towards the binding process. So as the DM, you're going to decide, depending on what's going on, do I want to take the shudder action because maybe the characters are giving me some problems, the party, or maybe I want to try to sever the link. Maybe the animated halberds or some other actions are keeping the party involved, and I want to try to sever the link as the heart. So as the DM, think about what the heart's going to do. It's either going to try to deal with the other characters in the tower because the animated halberds aren't doing their job, or it's going to try to sever that link by blasting that character with energy, try to sending him prone, doing some force damage to him. Now, when the characters start the binding, Strahd will know. And Strahd's going to send 4 vampire spawn to destroy the party. The vampire spawn will arrive in 3 rounds. Depending on the size of the party, you can make it 3 or 4 rounds. And they'll be climbing up the inside of the tower using their spider climb. So you've got these 4 vampire spawns climbing up that will engage with the party, with these animated halberds. The animated halberds start at round 1 as soon as you're going to roll initiative for them, as soon as that binding ritual starts. Now, Strahd may attempt to charm or use some other method to take the broken heart from that player, take the gem or break that binding, stop that binding. It's up to you to decide how you want to do this and how you want to incorporate this into your final conflict. He may arrive after the party defeats the vampire spawn, or if they're destroyed. He may attempt to steal the broken heart and the players chase him throughout the castle for it or whatever. But as soon as the players attempt this, Strahd's not going to immediately arrive, or I don't think he'd immediately arrive. The animated halberds will begin to attack. Strahd's going to realize this. He's going to have to take some time to call forth those vampire spawns to climb up the tower to deal with them. And at this point, Strahd may decide to come in, and this could be the opening move for that final conflict for you, or not. Now, your final conflict with Strahd can go a wide variety of ways. In fact, I wrote a guide to Strahd in the final conflict. I put a link. There's a PDF guide to that. I put a link in the description below. It is possible that you've already defeated Strahd. He's done his Misty Escape back down to his crypt, and the Heart of Sorrow is still intact. And while he's down in his crypt, trying to resurrect, trying to regain his hit points, at that point, maybe the players go up here and destroy the Heart of Sorrow. And if the players did that, the animated halberds will come to life. But Strahd is in his coffin trying to restore his hit points. He's not going to be able to call forth those vampire spawns, right? They're not going to come because they only come because Strahd called them to come. He's focusing on resurrecting in his crypt. So, that means that there'll be a secondary conflict. There could be a final conflict with Strahd. He goes down to the crypts into Misty Escape. Then the players destroy the Heart of Sorrow. And then they go down and have another conflict with Strahd. He might have restored enough hit points to fight the players again. So this really elevates that final conflict. It gives some more purpose and reasoning to the heart. Now, what happens when you succeed after you've done 10 successful turns binding with the Heart of Sorrows? Well, in that last round, the Heart of Sorrow and the Broken Heart bind together, and they form a new heart, the Heart of Barovia. And the new heart kind of enlarges, and it blasts the entire tower shaft with bright, radiant light, like a supernova. It is so bright that all creatures in the tower are going to be blinded for 1 minute. All creatures. Any undead creatures in the tower are going to turn immediately to dust. It's radiant. It's such powerful radiant light. It's going to turn to dust. If Strahd is in the tower, Strahd is going to be immediately turned into Misty form and Misty Escape to this crypt. So it doesn't matter if Strahd's at full hit points or what. If that thing blasts its radiant light, every undead creature is going to be turned to dust. Strahd will be turned into his mist form, do his Misty Escape down to his crypt, and start restoring his hit points. Players have got to get down there within an hour, otherwise he's going to start getting ready to come out of the crypt to have a final conflict, and the crypt's down below. So that's going to happen. Now, what's interesting is the heart, right after it does this blast of sunlight, like supernova in this shaft, characters will be blinded. I would imagine the characters kind of fall, blinding their eyes. It's so white, they can feel the heat on their skin. Everything is turned to ash. The animated halberds, if they're any, just fall to the ground. And then the heart disappears and the entire tower is cast into complete darkness. And what happens is the Heart of Sorrow immediately disappears and turns into the sun. It kind of absorbs in the sun, and the sun all of a sudden starts burning away the mists over all of Barovia. And in 1d4 plus 3, between 3 to 6 hours, the mist will be burnt away, and Castle Ravenloft will be washed in bright sunlight for the first time in centuries. Bright sunlight will be blasted all over Barovia. The heart has been... Now, Strahd might not be dead at this point, but his phylactery, the Heart of Sorrow, has been destroyed, and the Fae will also realize that this has happened. Now, Strahd will know if he's alive, or whether he's in his coffin because of the Misty Escape, that the Heart of Sorrow has been destroyed at this point. That's really important for Strahd because his phylactery is destroyed. He will not be able to come back if killed now. Sunlight permanently can kill or destroy him, so he cannot Misty Escape to his crypt. He will turn to ash and permanently be killed if his hit points fall to 0 while in sunlight. So if you fight Strahd outside and that sun hits him and he hits 0 hit points, he will just turn to ash. Running water. If Strahd is thrown from the cliff, from the overlook, down into the river down below, to the Tesser River, down where the falls or the lake is, if he gets into running water and he reaches 0 hit points, he will just dissolve. So if you stake Strahd in the crypts, right, at this point, he's paralyzed, he's not dead. You need to drag his body. The players would need to drag his body out into the sunlight. It could be an epic ending. They drag his body, he's staked, he's still kind of alive, right? He's trying to regain his hit points. As they drag him out, his body starts to turn to ash. And at that point, the players are actually, they've earned their heroism, their heroic achievement by restoring Barovia, bringing back the sunlight, restoring the Fae, finally lifting the mist. The souls will be free. The Fae will rejoice. The people will finally realize the mist will rise, and maybe Barovia is released from the Shadow realm and becomes back to the mortal plane and becomes a regular permanent fixture within whatever world that you're playing with. The players can now freely leave Barovia. Strahd is forever dead. That is how you permanently kill Strahd. You got to destroy the Heart of Sorrow and then destroy Strahd permanently. Take his body, turn it to ash, throw him into the river and let his body dissolve, something like that. That's how in Legends of Barovia, how you destroy the Heart of Sorrow. Well, that's it for the Spires and the Heart of Sorrow. To cover that, we still have the crypts coming up here shortly. We'll be covering the crypts. Really excited about that. Also, make sure to check out that free PDF guide to running Strahd. I got a lot of ideas on some spell lists, how to run them, rules is written, some little armor buffs for them if you want to use those, some tactics and strategies. All that can be found in the free PDF guide. And all of the guides to Legends of Barovia and the PDF guides are being made available for free. You can find those on the website. We're releasing a couple each month. Until next time, this is Parm King signing off, and may all your rolls be critically successful.